once again for waiting and for your for being patient with my technology problems. So as you see, the topic is about some equipment adaptations and some scientific support. So we will start just overview about myself. For those who don't know me, I was the head coach and team leader of Polish paracanoe team until 2018. During this time, we were in different main events of paracanoeing, and yeah, now I have PhD in exercise physiology, working in Institute of Sport, and as a teacher and coach developer. So yeah, that's what is my background. And during today's lecture, I would like to show you some examples of adaptation of equipment. So just to go, so to dive into the kayak or vaha, just to see what can you find in a boats. And in the second part, just a few words about the exercise physiology, maybe some other possibilities to assess your athletes and to assess the training methods. So as a background, just from classification of ICF, just how we divided different people with different impairments into classes. In KL1, we have athletes with limited trunk function and no leg functions. In KL2 or VL2, athletes with partial trunk and leg function. And in KL3, athletes with trunk function and partial leg function. So that will affect what kind of special equipment, what kind of adaptation we have in the boats. So in KL1 and VL1, what we can find or what we cannot find. So footrest, yeah, is something that not every athlete have because of the no leg function. Very high supported seat with high backrest with the stripes which will fix the athlete to the boat to transfer the power of the strokes to the boat and to go to the finish line. And it's very important that in a VL1, it's very high seat and very high support for the athletes. And if we see the VL boat, especially on the sides, are also some extra support to keep the athlete in the boat. We can find the athlete just some specific way of sitting if they are high impaired in spinal cord. So yeah, it's some kind of almost line on the backrest of the seat, with having belts around the abdominals to support athletes to keep balance and to keep themselves in the boat. And also, if you look in the kayak or VL1, just to be as tight to the boat as it's possible, some stripes, some special seat which will support the legs to don't move and to transfer the power from the paddle into the boat. On the other hand, in the VL1 and KL2 and VL2, we can find also in some cases higher seat to support the athletes. We can find some footrest and other equipment which is in the boat to support the legs. We can find some straps around the seat. It's not so as high seat as well, just to fix the athletes to the seat to move the trunk, but don't move from back to forward and in the other direction. And if you look in that special board. There's also a rudder, just to move it by the hand, because this athlete has two leg amputation, so needed to steer somehow. So he used this rudder by his hands. So he was sitting just like this, and next step in his adaptation was to do the rudder, which he can move by his arms. And in KL3 and VL3, there are not so much adaptation if we compare with able-bodied athletes. So just some adaptation on the footrest to have similar support from the footrest by two legs if there are some impairments, or some support for the legs if there's something going on with the legs if they have impairments in their lower limbs. So that's a quick overview about what we can see in the boats, what we can use in the boats. But what I can say from experience, that each adaptation is custom made for the athletes. Each athlete had a little bit different impairments, so we need to find a solution to give the support, but also give the possibility to produce as many power by athletes and transfer it into the boat as efficient as it is possible. So from one direction, we need the support to help them to keep in the boat, but from the other side, we need to give them as much freedom to use by them as much power and as much muscles as they could to produce velocity and to be on the finish line as fast as is possible. So yeah, that's what is the main goal of the adaptation in the boat. So if we compare that with the classes, so you see that different classes, different type of adaptation. The higher classes, the lower the adaptation are, or the less adaptation they are in the boats. If I can told something about support from the point of view of exercise physiology and other kind of support that we were using in our team during the these 5 years when I was head coach of paracanoeing in Poland. So in general, 3 times a year we used a protocol, just on-water test with lactate concentration check, wind gate test to check the anaerobic capacity, and the incremental test to check aerobic capacity of the athletes, just to evaluate if they are if the training is going in good direction, if we are doing job that will bring us as good results as we want to achieve at the end of period of time. If it's if training methodology is good prepared, and if we are able to support athletes, or just to change something in the training that will be at the end the most efficient. So the scientific background for that idea of athlete assessment is the contribution of aerobic and anaerobic energy in metabolism. So the paracanoe race, it's about 40 to 60 seconds. It's about the sport class, and it's about, as I said, 250 meters in the able-bodied athletes. So anaerobic energy is over 40%, over 60% of all duration of the race, and some of the energy comes from aerobic sources of energy, and that's why we are doing two kind of tests, anaerobic and aerobic tests in our athletes. So in paracanoers, we were doing tests on kayak ergometers to check aerobic contribution, and on arm cranking ergometer to check anaerobic contribution of energy sources, and if we are improving those two areas of energy contribution to in the athletes. So our aerobic performance test, it was incremental test or on kayak or canoe ergometer or Vaha ergometer in particular for paracanoers. We established power for each athlete individually. It was 5 times 4 minutes with 1 minute break before the next repetition, with blood sampling to establish lactate and do the lactate curve. And during the during the test, also the power and heart rate were measured. And as the outcome of the test, we had anaerobic threshold and lactate threshold and intensity zones for training, to prepare and to evaluate the training in daily basis. How it looks just during the break between next repetition of the test, it was blood sampling to establish lactate, and then just paddling as a kayak or Vaha athlete. So just as I said, some intensity zones which were established on the power and heart rate, just to have some more information to do the proper training and to do the most effective way of training. And second test in the physiological area, so anaerobic performance Wingate test, adapted test for upper body, 30 seconds arm crank ergometry, where we measure anaerobic capacity like peak power, mean power, and total power. So that's what is the position for the sitting athletes. So we used some kind of adaptation of ergometer, and for the athletes which can stand, they just stay here without this chair on the back, on the side, just to on a standing position, and arm cranking with being supported by belt from the back, just to don't move too much upper body. We establish also the test protocol on a monarch ergometer. So in sitting position, that's the numbers of the body mass, percentage of body mass which were used as a load for the ergometers to establish the best output in power and in work in this 30-second test. That are some results. As you see, we can chase the results if it was the first measurement, and we were working on the improvement on anaerobic capacity, so it can be done in a period of time to check if you are walking in a good direction. Some values just to have some overview how the men in men categories as well in kayak and in Vaha are differentiated, and women, okay, we don't have as much women in different categories to establish the data which can be referenced once for next generation of the athletes. Also test on water, just to check if the blood samples and if the Wingate test is correlated with performance. We did test on water and test in laboratory conditions that you see, and we correlated if there are some connection between time on water and power in Wingate test, and time and work in Wingate test, or time lactate during the Wingate test and lactate during on water test. So there are good correlations. So we can say that this test is good to check the performance of the athlete, actual performance, and assess if the athletes will have good results in the competition. The same we can show in the table that there's quite, if someone is looking into scientific journals. So yeah, so the correlation is about 88.88. So it's very high correlation with the time on 200 meters. But in our research also showed that anaerobic threshold power is also in the incremental test, in the aerobic capacities test. It's very high correlated with time of 200 meters. So as well as Wingate test, also the Wingate test, anaerobic capacity test, also aerobic capacity test shows high correlation with 200-meter time results on water. So that shows us that our protocol for athletes assessment is good established, and it gives some good idea to keep it and to improve it for the future, to predict 200-meter performance in the athletes. Before that, we also checked VO2 max in our athletes into kayak ergometry test. So only in few athletes, so just some as a case study, we established the level of the VO2 consumption. So it's not so big, but it's not very important in 200 meters race. What can I say? That yeah, we have a few more minutes. So what else we did with our athletes? Some biomechanical paddling profiles and training evaluation by physiological test. Biomechanical paddling profiles on the boat. So probably Anna know better what is going on the kayak arc. We did some evaluation on the boat, just some accelerometers, just some few tensometers on the paddle, and yeah, results as some curves and profiles of the paddling. So most important, the power and the acceleration, and it give power to produced by athlete to increase speed of the boat. So that's the speed of the boat at the end of the stroke. Some other results were shown in the KL2 class. That was KL3. That is KL2. So first of all, there is acceleration, then some power, and then the speed of the boat is not so heavy. As well, in KL1 is even less acceleration in the boat in each stroke, and the same for the kayak athletes. Some assimilar. It's not similar from the left side and right side of the paddle, so we can see also some discrepancies between the sides of the kayak where we are observing where the impairment can some involvement in the movement of the athlete. And yeah, we supervised the training by biomechanical and physiological testing during the training and after the competition. So as you see, just athletes being tested on water just to check what's going on with their performance and capabilities. Some example of evaluation of the training when we check the lactate curve on the basis of the annual training cycle, how in that example aerobic capacity is changing by the training, and if it's going in the direction that we want to observe. Other ways of presentation of aerobic contribution to the test. So how it is changing in the years of preparation for the Olympics. So if the aerobic power is growing as you want to have it during the competition. Also, other presentation of the results of the test. So to do some individual representation of three main resources, energetical resources for the kayak competition in paracanoeing, so glycolytic, aerobic, and phosphogenic, and in which direction we need to work, or on which end of the triangle we should work more if we have some results from the athletes. So we have the idea where we are lack of some power, or we are lack of some endurance, or we are lack of some short time endurance by corresponding that to the average outcome from the test from our base or from our history of measurement. And going to conclusion, just to remind that equipment adaptation are correlated with sport class, both and impairment, because all of that aspects will have impact on that what we or how we should adapt the boat to the athlete. And individual adaptations are necessary to increase performance, just to use as much as we can what athlete can produce by the muscles that he or she still have. And scientific support in high-performance athletes is necessary to increase efficiency of the training. And test protocol that was presented can be used to determine current performance of the athletes and to check if our training is going in a good direction and if we want to or what we need to improve to be better or to have better athletes. So thank you very much. Sorry for technical problems, and if you have some questions, so just go ahead.
Wow, thank you, Mihal. Thank you so much. Fantastic that you got the presentation visible and that you could give us all these data. We have time for questions, so write them in the chat or just switch on your microphone if you have questions.
So I have some questions. Let's formulate it. So you do individual adaptations to the canoe or kayak, but my question was more related to, did you see a discrepancy between measuring the lactate power, like their anaerobic capacity, and their results? So would you have athletes that had a high anaerobic capacity but didn't perform so well, and did you then try to do equipment adaptation?
Yeah. Okay. So I will try to answer the question as much as I can. So I saw some athletes that have high anaerobic capacity in the laboratory test, because the test is prepared that way to perform by everyone who can go there, but they have problems on water, you can have good capacity, good anaerobic capacity, but you can be not so good on water. But it still will be connected with your experience, because we in disabled sport, in para sport, the athletes are trying to find their way to gain the best result that they have. In our history, it was that some athletes came from weightlifting, because they have a lot of power, high anaerobic capacity, but still they don't perform good on water because big muscle mass. They didn't have any aerobic endurance capacity, which is also important in the paracanoeing. And some experience in canoeing before, it's very crucial. If the athletes have had before accident, or before the injury, or before the disease, some canoeing experience, they get better. They are better than those ones who comes from the other sports and don't have any idea how to paddle, how to move, how to adapt to the kayak or vaha, and to perform as much as it is. So I hope some partially I answered to your question, but if you want to know, if you want to ask some more, please, because I just talk about few topics, and I don't know if I answered the main point.
Well, thank you. Was illuminating answer in somewhat. Now I was more asking for like, if you made adaptation based on feelings mostly, or tried to measure performance results?
Okay, so first of all, when the athletes came, so we just give them some, let's call it standard support. So just high backrest, for example, you carry one or wheel one. So the sit with high backrest, just one stripe, just to feel comfortable. Without any support for legs, any additional stripes for legs, just to feel comfortable in the boat and just to feel safe in the boat. Because at the beginning we know that the safety and to get used to the boat is very important in the future in the future improvement to the canoeing. So yeah, at the beginning we just starting with the basic ones, just to put athletes in the boat and just feel comfortable. But in the evolution of the athlete, in the evolution in the training, and if they are more if the training is going for the time, so we are seeking for the support which will fix athlete to the boat, to create the transfer of the power from the power paddle shaft to the boat without any losses on the stripes, so it must be as tight as it's possible to transfer the power from the stroke to the athlete, because that at the end will count on the finish line.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your question.
Well, actually, Michal, you already answered one of my questions, because I was curious about if you had a canoeing background, would it be an advantage, or could anyone having a physical impairment become as good as someone who has already canoed? But you said that those who had a background in canoeing, they had an advantage over those who didn't.
Yes, especially at the beginning, they have an advantage, because some memory of the movement is giving some imagination. What can they do, or what they need to do to achieve some better performance? Maybe not better the best results, but better performance. So they are already adjusted to the movement, and they know what to do.
Okay. And I'm not very I don't know much about this professional canoeing athlete training, but would you say, what are the differences from training people with no impairment? It's very scientific, and I guess that's the way that all professional athletes compete and train and exercise.
So what is the difference between able-bodied and disabled-bodied, or
does everybody do these kind of tests, and is it very similar?
So we took those tests from able-bodied athletes, which we work in our institute as well in canoeing. So that's the protocol which were firstly used in able-bodied, and we were adjusted for disabled athletes by creating the protocol with a little bit different load of work and so on. But general, if we are working in high performance and we would like to improve our athletes in most efficient way, so it's some idea how to work with them or what to do to increase performance in as I said, most efficient way. So just the training is more efficient because we know what we are doing. We know what the intensity zones use to achieve the goals that we are stated for particular period of the annual cycle of preparation for the main events.
Thank you. Is there are there any more questions?
Is there anybody left? More left? Because I just
I have one more.
I just said goodbye before my lecture.
We had one more question here.
I'm very interested about equipment, about the seats and everything. It is. Where can I buy it, or do you build your own, or? It's hard to find out what I find these things.
Okay, so what can I say? This part of the seat, and it's high supported seat. It's produced by the manufacturer of one of the manufacturers of the boats. So it's plastics. So he did some that's quite a big seat. They are doing also the seat, which is it's finished like on this side, but the other part, this from the sides, is built custom made by the athlete and his coach. So so this main part is produced by the manufacturers of the boats, and it's adjusted by the athletes and their coaches to support them in the best way. It's the same with this one. It was the higher seat, but it's cut down a little bit. Just cut in this place to have a lower one to move a trunk by the athletes who can do that. So
and who have the best kayaks? Is it Plastics or Nelo or what company?
So if we are talking about racing, so there are two companies like in Able-Bodied canoeing. So it's Plastics and Nelo. Yeah.
Okay.
So and during the Paralympics, I think the most of the athletes used plastics, but I don't know which one is better now.
Okay, thank you.
If I can come in, this is Aerobic. I have myself below the knee amputation. So I think I was also thinking about that when we had the previous presentation about the seats, and the place where I get my prosthesis done, I think they are also good at making such seats. I know that they make special seats for wheelchairs and so on, for people that need a special casting and so on. So if you give it a try with one of those companies, Olmed and Active and whatever they are called in Sweden, I think they are very good at doing individual things like this for wheelchairs and kayaks and whatever. So that is just a suggestion.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, I think we are 1 minute before 7, and we need to end this interesting discussion. And I'm sure we could talk all night about kayaking, and but we won't. At least not in this forum. it was incredibly good that your presentation finally worked, Michal, because I'm really glad that we could see it and listen to you. Thank you so much for a great presentation. And Masse, thank you so much. It will hopefully be more of these mini lectures. So you all are more than welcome to join us in the future, and we will put information about them on the Canoe Federation website and send out emails and put it on social media so you can all join for some more new exciting lectures. So
what I can say that I will transform it into PDF where all the pictures are visible, and we'll send you Katinka to share that to all that are here.
Yes, I have all your email addresses, and you will get both presentations as PDF files, so you can re-watch them.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for everybody's time and questions and answers, and I hope to see you soon again.
Yeah, and what I can say, thank you for patience with my problems with the presentation.
Thank you, Michal.
Thank you.
Okay.
Have a nice night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.